Metaverse builder LandVault has partnered with esports DAO Heroez in a bid to unlock the next generation of esports. Joining us to discuss is LandVault CEO Samuel Huber. Welcome to the show. So let's just sort of start out with the obvious here, which is that there's been a little bit less excitement about the metaverse these days, coming off a very high peak, right? We're not hearing about it as much. How do you kind of generate momentum to get people kind of excited about the metaverse again?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a great question. I think, last year we've seen a lot of brands, pretty much every single category of brand jumping into the metaverse, thinking that they all had a reason to be there. And this year, well, the hype is gone. There's a lot less speculation. We're really trying to focus on utility. We're trying to create ways for those brands to actually generate real return on investment, whether it's to build a community, to create awareness for a product, to actually sell products, which we can do in the metaverse. We're trying to focus on generating tangible, real business objectives for the companies that are jumping the metaverse, as opposed to just jumping on the bandwagon and trying to generate a quick hit when it comes to PR or general awareness.
You know, we didn't only see brands jump on the bandwagon, though, right? We saw Disney get into the metaverse, Meta change its name to Meta, and we've seen them really scale back, and a lot of brands wind down their metaverse projects. Are the brands you're working with sticking around, or like what's business looking like for you?
Yeah, I think overall, it's true that there's less hype generally. Less people are talking about the metaverse as this thing that will immediately revolutionize the way that we consume content. This is not a surprise for us. We kind of expected that. Nothing changes that quickly. Last year, again, everyone thought that within the next 2 or 3 years, everyone would be using the metaverse daily, when we always saw that as a more of a decade-long transition. For us, the fundamentals are strong. The gaming industry, which is really the first use case for the metaverse, is still growing fast. There's 3 billion people playing games every single day, billions of dollars generated in games. So for us, the metaverse is just when gaming technologies are starting to be applied to non-gaming use cases. And so at the moment, as I said before, we're focusing on finding real use cases for brands. There is, still a significant amount of brands and now governments here. I'm based in the UAE. There's a huge appetite for those governments and these entities to enter the metaverse to promote their countries to the rest of the world in a much more immersive way.
Does AI have a role in the metaverse?
Absolutely. We see generative AI specifically as a really important part of basically enabling the faster creation of environments. One of the problems and one of the reasons why less brands, less people are jumping into the metaverse is that it's still expensive and it takes a long time to build a virtual world, right? On average, our project takes about 6 to 8 weeks and costs in the 6 figures. This is not something that everyone can afford. And so, we are very focused at LandVault as creating this WordPress moment, as we call it, which is the moment where building a metaverse experience is as easy as it is to build a website. And we believe that generative AI, for example, would be a key technology to enable you to do that. So you basically be able to type what you want to design, whether it's a stadium or a shop, and immediately you get a 3D scene that you can tweak and assemble, but at least it doesn't take you, days and days of work to make it happen. So we see AI as a very important catalyst to democratize access to the metaverse.
You talk about building in the metaverse and you say it takes 6 to 8 weeks. I know building a good game can take up to 2 years, and then getting the players to play that game, especially when there are Web3 elements, could take even longer. Talk to us about your timeline. How do you plan to get people to actually play these games in the metaverse when there's still this kind of negative sentiment around Web3 gaming?
I think the key is to really focus on the value for consumers and not focus on the technologies, whether it's NFTs, whether it's, general blockchain. at the end of the day, what we want to provide is a great experience for consumers. And that's really what should be thought at first. How do we create an exciting game, an exciting experience? What reason do we give for people to actually go there? If you look at certain platforms right now, it's not a surprise that no one's there. There's just nothing to do. Why would people spend time in an empty platform? We have very busy lives and we already can't focus, between all the different social networks and things that we have to do. So for the metaverse to be able to capture significant attention, it needs to compete with other platforms. It needs to be more exciting than Instagram, for example, or TikTok. This is how people would shift their attention from one to another. Now, the good news is gaming has proven that if you create the right game, the right mechanics, the right hook for people to play, people are spending hours and hours and hours, actually trillions of hours in aggregate every year in games. So to me, the metaverse does not require a new customer behavior. We just need to learn from the gaming industry and create real reasons for people to engage in those environments.
And lastly, take us a little bit deeper. We're talking about esports, now moving into the metaverse. How do we move off of these platforms like Twitch, these massive platforms that esports players have been on for probably their entire careers? How do we move them and their audiences over into the metaverse?
I think, again, it comes down to what value can we create for the streamers, what value can we create for the players, how do we make that a better experience, whether it's more immersive, more fun, more lucrative. At the end of the day, it comes down to simple business terms. How do we improve the life of people who are currently living on those platforms? They're not going to shift platform just because we say it's new and it's the metaverse. It needs to provide real utility to them. And for the streamers, it's probably more money. And for the viewers, it could be just a better watching experience, for example. And we think that 3D environments, because it's immersive, because it's fun, is something that can provide that experience. And the experience that we're doing with Heroez is a prototype of that. We want to showcase that there is space for esports as well in the metaverse.
Samuel, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That was LandVault CEO Samuel Huber.